Hello and welcome back to another episode of MTD CNC North America. Today, guys, I get to spend quality time with my friends here at Method Machine Tools outside of Chicago. And guess who I'm with today? Zac. Zac, I have heard so many great things about his brilliance being a part of this industry, his wisdom and being so technical. Now, I'm obviously blowing his head up because I'm trying to get something in return, but we're going to see what he gives me for being such a gentleman with these kind words. But Zac, all joking aside, I appreciate you and thank you for being here with MTD.
Thank you for having me.
So, Zac, here in Chicago, we are in, or just outside of Chicago, we're in this beautiful new building looking around, and you guys have done a ton of work. Firstly, you're in charge of the sales team, right?
That is correct.
And what's that been like?
Challenging at times. It's kind of like herding cats, but also in a good way. Adults understand and can listen a lot better than a toddler at home, so I'll take it.
Yeah, well, I've even seen cats on leashes these days, so we just got to give a few of you guys some leashes. It'll get a little bit easier. Now, most people know Methods here in the U.S. It's a very strong brand, and you guys carry everything from the Yasda to the Robo-Drill to the great OKK machines, the Nakamuras, the Kiwas. You even have your own brand of machine right now.
Correct.
Let's go over, because you're in charge of the sales here, firstly, the territory, because I know you guys support Wisconsin, and then let's break down a little bit of these machines and where you're seeing some of the best uses for them.
So you mentioned it, we have two territories. So we have Illinois, which is facilitated out of this office here, and then we opened up an office last year in June during COVID, and that's in Menominee Falls, which is a suburb of the Milwaukee region. And that services Wisconsin up to the UP as well. And then brands, you're right. So in both states, we cover all the lines that Methods imports exclusively into the United States. One of those being Nakamura Tome is what we're standing in front of today, which is a 3-turret, all Y-axis turning center.
Yeah, well, going back to the area now, Chicago is where we are, just outside of Chicago. The facility is amazing. The Wisconsin branch isn't quite as large as this, but I think it's important to convey to the people who are out here in Wisconsin or Illinois, whatever area they might be, that you guys have a massive and incredible turnkey area where you're able to support people with, hey, Zac, I have a part. I need you to make this and give me the best recommendation.
Correct. Yeah, that's a strength of our business. About 80% of what we do here today is full turnkey. So what that means is exactly what you said. A customer will give us a part, recommend a machine, but then also do the processing from start to finish. As most people complain about, labor is a big concern. That's why having engineering on staff and being able to supply that full turnkey prior to delivery is key. And if you do that right, customers come back. And we've seen that. And that's about why we've moved buildings. When I started here in 2010, we were in a building right down the road, about 10,000 square feet, still a beautiful building, but we were turning wrenches in our showroom. So this is now a true showroom. So if you see a machine here, it's just for display purposes. Behind the wall, you'll kind of see that with some of the other gentlemen. That's where we can turn wrenches, do our full turnkeys. So customers don't see us hole sawing and doing all the dirty work to get the machine to where it needs to be.
And am I mistaken in thinking that part of this whole growth, this whole massive building, is you're going to take some of the parts and inventory from Sudbury and bring them here? Because we're trying, and when I say we, I'm now considering myself as a part of Methods, we're trying to get parts to your customers if something goes down within a few hours, even though 24 hours has kind of been the thing we say, right? Within 24 hours, we'll get you back up and running again. But now we're talking about 4 hours. Yeah,
so obviously downtime is crucial, right, for our customers. They don't need it, it's expensive. And then on our side too, shipping parts all over the United States is expensive. Stuff gets lost, it's being more of an issue, more recently too, people buying more online. So if we can spread those parts out across the United States, part of this building move was to facilitate that, and that's to facilitate not only our market in Illinois, but also our market in Wisconsin, and then our neighboring towns. Our neighboring states, Michigan, Minnesota, Indiana, Ohio, always have a service tech to be able to repair, but parts you typically wait. Even under warranty, you're waiting that 24-hour window. So how do we tighten that up, which is important? People come back, service and support. Sales typically can sell the first machine, service support sells the second machine. So.
Yeah, you are spot on. And as the sales manager, to hear you say that, You're giving great credit to your service team as well. And let's be fair, there's a lot of truth in that.
It's a big team effort. I mean, you got to be good on all fronts. You got to be good on apps, service, and sales. If you're not, you can have great product, but they don't come back.
Yeah, and going back to all the companies that you guys work with, I mean, some of the best machines on the planet, right? But they're not all made here in the U.S., are they? And so being able to, as you mentioned, one of the most stressful things that a customer can have is a machine go down. So for you to be able to have all of these parts, not in a country across the other side of the world, but here in the States, and not just in the States at one location, but now locally, that's a benefit. That's a massive benefit to the people that you work with.
It is, and it's a great point. And it's hard to convey that in the beginning sales cycle. So you then see it on those repeat orders. That customer says, I'm coming to you, you give the full solution, but then you can also support the product after the fact. And that's really what you just explained, the difference between an importer and a dealership. As an importer, you have to take on that responsibility. You have to have reps from the factory sit in the United States so they can communicate back to Japan or the countries that we import out of in case they're a little bit more time sensitive. They have that ear better than we would.
Agreed, and we've all learned even more so immensely than usual over the last year and a half about supply and demand.
Yeah.
There's been a real struggle with that. So being able to take care of your customers so directly with Wisconsin, Illinois, and as you mentioned, Minnesota and Michigan as well, and both branches are fantastic also, but just having it locally, what a benefit. You know, we all suffered a little bit in that supply and demand over the last few months. If you could just say, okay, Nakamura, we're really good at this. OKK, man, it's a beast of a machine and it can do this.
Yep.
I would love to hear just a real quick rendition of all of the machines.
Sure. So we're standing in front of Nakamura. We'll start with this. Nakamura, Japanese built, just make a lathe line. That's all they do. So what that means is they have to be very good at that because they can't make it up in other products. Nakamura is really known as a bar machine. So what that means is bar feed in, finished product out, kind of hitting it all in one machining cycle if they can, right? This particular machine, people think high volume, but in reality, a lot of customers now are tooling these machines up for high mix, low volume. They're almost using redundant tooling and the open positions to reduce their changeover time. That's a big cost on a lot of owners is the changeover time. That's stuff that you can't put into bids because then you won't be competitive. Setup costs. So how do you reduce that? You do it with multi-turrets or you do it with B-axis machines, which I'm sure you stood in front of and we will be showcasing as well at our grand opening.
Exciting.
So that's Nakamura Chome. You mentioned OKK, that's behind me. Another Japanese builder. Now they're into verticals and horizontals and 5 axes. So again, they're niched in that market. So Methods kind of goes out in the market and they say, who is the best in that particular arena? And how do we use them in our portfolio to give a good solution to a customer, right? So that's where OKK plays in. Typically, the higher end, the aerospace, the Inconels, kind of some stuff that you've cut in your past life as well. And then in automotive, high volume, where it's critical, it needs to be up and running. You mentioned Yasda. We're fortunate enough to have a PX30i. Again, high mix, low volume. Let's try to set up redundant jobs and different things of that nature. Yasda is really the top end. A lot of customers aren't Yasda customers, but they'll grow into it. And their work will take them there, right? So every machine has its place. It's just finding the right parts for the right machines. And then we also are showcasing Methods brand in this building as well. For us, that's a guy looking for the same lathe or vertical. He's looking for a 40 by 20, general purpose, that type of application. That's where we've really shined on that product as well. And then Fanuc wires. Fanuc is a great product. We're great to have them. Most people know them for the control builder, but they actually build a robo drill, which is a vertical, and they also build a wire machine. And their biggest claim to fame is that they could still build that product completely in Japan because about 80% of it's built by robots. So it's pretty impressive. That's also allowed them to streamline it and not have a Monday or a Friday machine. So product is consistent and good. What people know from the control side, they would get that on the machine side as well.
Very well said. And Zach, the reason I asked you that question and the reason you did that and the ability for you to convey that message so quickly and powerfully is because going back to the turnkey area, right? I know that there's a lot of situations where a customer will come into a facility and go, hey, I need to have this part made. You guys have the ability with several different engineers and several different mindsets and several different machine options to see that one part and go, okay, well, I could do it horizontally, I could do it vertically, I could do it on a neck, I could do it even on a wire EDM depending on the part. Obviously, robo drills are everywhere, but what's going to be the fastest ROI? What's going to make it the quickest cycle time? And you guys have that ability cumulatively between the engineers and the people to walk away with a solution for that customer that's going to make them the most money in the quickest amount of time.
Yeah, it's a very good point. We're very fortunate enough to be able to do that. And it also allows us then to be able to pick the right machine for the application and then automate it. As you probably have seen in your travels, Methods has its own automation division as well. So we'll automate from a mill to a lathe, and so let a lathe do what it's great at and let a mill do what it's great at. So we're not kind of pigeonholing and saying, well, that's all I got to sell. So I can actually sell what's right. Which is a great strength and why I've been at Methods all these years.
When you speak of automation, and I know you guys work with Fanuc, Fanuc listens to you guys a lot on how to adapt and be user-friendly for the customer in almost every aspect.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And that relationship started back in about '92, and it's strengthened over the years, being the importer for robo drills as well as wires. But then that automation piece, as labor's being challenging, COVID amplified that. A lot of people that would never look at robots now are considering it. It's not for everything, but for the right application, it makes perfect sense.
Yes, it does. Well, Zach, for me, you have answered a lot of questions. It's always a pleasure speaking with anyone that comes from Methods, but knowing that you've been doing this since 2010, I've been doing it twice as long, and you know twice as much as me already. Kudos to you, and thank you for educating our global audience and being a part of MTD CNC.
Thank you, Tony.